just lay out the foundation for a house. As you know, I've been out here deep in the woods gearing up to build a little off-grid house. In this episode, I square up the basic 24 by 32 foot rectangle right on the bedrock, finally. It's been a journey to get to this point though. Since the winter of 2026, I've been living in my tent on 25 acres of wildland that I bought. I sold my place just before, and now I'm spending all my money on an off-grid house build. When it's done, there will be no mortgage and only a few bills to pay because I'll be on well water and solar power. I've done this once before though. This is my first log cabin you're seeing. I cut this thing right from the trees off the land. It was a simpler build, but I did it for the exact same reasons: freedom and immersion in nature. It was home base for 5 years. Though I love the round and rustic logs in my first cabin, for my house, I'm using squared logs from a local mill. You see, I'm not a builder by trade. I'm a musician and an all-around regular dude, so for a house build, I'm not messing around. I'm going to build something I can actually handle and something I can hopefully get into before this winter. Of course, there will be a log cabin built deep in the property once the house is done. That'll be the next project, but for any dreamers out there looking for a way out of the system, take my videos as a blueprint for one way to get there. Because if I can make this happen, well, so can you. So before we dive deep into the task at hand, which took 3 days of fine-tuning by the way, here's what life has been like around camp these days. So this is a typical situation when I leave my tent. I open the screen, I get out, and within about 3 seconds, I get swarmed by the flies. 1, 2, 3, I hear one. They are coming. I'll walk to my car, because you know, I gotta drive to town once in a while, and I gotta get to my car to do that. You see the flies? Here they are. They usually don't bite, they just swarm my head, but when they land on me, they will bite me. Seeing them all? Holy. There's a lot right now. Some are landing on my fingers, and they love to be around my car. Seeing this? This is every day, no matter what. By the time I get to my car, I don't know how long that's been, less than a minute, I am completely surrounded by the things. I just wanted to show you that, because that is reality around these parts in July. They're still going. None have bit me. The most annoying thing is when they actually land in your hair. Sometimes I get back to my tent and one's crawling around in my hair at that point. But anyways, I've just come out here to charge my stuff. So got to charge my phone actually, which I'm recording this on. And still getting swarmed. But so around camp, this DJI Mini has become my lifesaver. I'm going to go do more of a deep dive next week on how long it actually lasts me. But this thing is getting charged by these panels, and this is always the scene out here. Every day, it's been beautiful and sunny so many days in a row. So those two things are always on my build site, getting this amazing full sun, and it runs so much stuff. What a game changer. I used to charge everything in my car. Everything. Just off the inverter. And this thing is just incredible. You have to be patient with the solar panels, but it works. It works, I'm telling you. Anyways, oh, this weather. This weather. Beautiful day to be in the wilds, my friends. Beautiful day to be in the wilds. Oh, yeah. Any idea who this fellow was? Went all the way up there. I'm actually going to follow it. I don't know. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Right on top of my septic tank. If you haven't guessed by now, 'twas a moose. These are moose tracks. And just for scale, I'll get a good track here. Put my hand next to it. Don't like to brag, but I have very large hands. Here we go. Good sized moose. It was just walking around, checking it out, doing circles around the septic tank. Look at that. Well, I'm driving here, and look who's on the road. Come to say hello. I'm gonna drive slowly and see what happens. Hey buddy, you're a young one. Hey. Wow, beautiful creature. That is some serious length in the legs. That's got to be 4 feet up until the bottom of the torso. Good sized moose. Wow. See you later. In other news, I finally moved the wood stove out of the tent and put a little sitting area in here. And it's actually been a game changer. One new area to sit that's not my cot, which has been my go-to, is amazing. So I tried out playing one of my songs in the chair just to see how it felt. Done and done.
Now a lifetime spent on these waters, seeing what cannot be unseen. The rusted remains, the rotted shanties, a nation many years asleep, unnamed, unchanged, untamed. This land long reclaimed Champlain, yet it stands today, unnamed, unchanged, untamed. This land long renamed, reclaimed Champlain, yet it stands today.
Okay, well, it's time to get down to business, to mark out the location of the house. This first attempt is what not to do, so take notes on that. It's obviously hot, and Buggy got my little friend up here, and we're going to do it anyways because I got no choice. I got to do this, regardless of the weather. So, ooh, check this out. As I'm speaking, looks like all these tadpoles are in a little pond in front of me. Check this out. They're just about ready to... They got no water left, man. I had some advice given to me about using nails to set the points on the rock. That might work on cement, but it just ended up being a big old fail on the bedrock. And I gotta say, it's actually hard to watch this now, even only a couple days later. I'm using concrete nails, so they sort of go into the rock if you're lucky. So if I managed to get one in, I would measure and run string lines to the corners I started marking out. The problem is, the rock is not level at all, and I was running lines over bumps and super low to the ground and humps everywhere. And so I got into this routine of marking some points, driving a nail, running a string line. But as you can see, a hammer and nail were probably the dumbest choice of tools for the job, as it turns out. No matter how long I banged on the nail, it just made the point on it more and more dull. But eventually, it got jammed into the rock enough so that it sort of seemed like I was getting somewhere, I guess. So I just sort of kept at it until time came to start squaring everything. The squaring in this case means that all the lines are their true length and the diagonal from opposite points is the same length, or square. In this case, my number for square is 40 feet. But I just kept on running into issues because nails would pop out, numbers weren't adding up. It was hot, there were bugs. So ultimately, the whole thing wasn't facing south enough, but I managed to move my original layout back 8 feet, which actually gave me more space in the front of the house, which is what I wanted. You see, I've been messing around with this for a little while now, and this isn't the first time I've been at it. It's just the first time I tried it using some nails.
Okay, so I've successfully sort of like shifted the whole foundation from what I had. I moved it all back because, just a reminder, I need more space up here for when I bring my vehicle in. When I bring the materials in for the build, I need more space up front. So I had to move it 8 feet. So I moved it 8 feet this way. Now the tricky part is, you can see my compass here on the ground, which I put the S the wrong way. Depends on where you're standing, I guess. Anyways, I need to be oriented south. So I have to shift the whole thing like that way now, a little bit. So that's the next step. And then I got to make sure it's square. Pray for me, okay? Here we go. Oh my God.
So, anyways, I decided to take a little hike way out back and set up my trail cam. It's always good to get away from the build site once in a while and deeper into the woods. I always leave my axe at the midway point, right in my old shelter here, because it gets pretty thick as I go along, and who knows what I'll run into back here. I finally reached the tree with the trail cam on it. It's close to that old moose carcass I found, if you remember. So I decided to go check on the carcass. But by this point, it was just a skeleton. Still really cool to see. In the end, I didn't see anybody come by for a visit. I just picked up some windy day action in the vegetation. So I got back at the foundation layout, this time with the new approach, rebar. This is what I tried the first time, but for some reason I got distracted by the nails. So I drilled the rebar into the rock so they were solid and high above the undulating terrain. So the first thing I did was set up a long line where I knew I wanted the back of the house to be. Then I began measuring to the other side. It was tricky getting the rebar in at times. And a mistake I made on attempt number 2 here was drilling them slightly off level. And doing that messes with your numbers a bit. But anyways, I got the other long line in 24 feet away from the first line. At this point, I was just eyeballing square, knowing that this second line could change. So once I was happy enough with the second line, I tried to pick a corner point on the first string line that I thought would be the corner of the house. When I ran this measurement across, a trick I'd learned was whatever the shortest point is on the opposite string, that's your square mark. So I went back and forth trying to find this mark. And what I realized is the other line wasn't long enough and my square mark was way past the rebar I pinned in. So given the heat and the frustration, I just decided to revisit this the next day. But slowly, I was getting somewhere. So in this next stretch of the video, we're going to slow down a bit. I want to show you the amazing sounds I hear at night and in the dawn out here. It's really the reason I'm out here, to experience that sort of thing. The tools and the build are just a way to get me deeper into all of it at the end of the day. So I guess this is how I get my kicks these days. I'm in the car, and I just drove out. It's 3:30 in the morning, not even. And I drove out because when I woke up in the night and all I could hear is bullfrogs. But they were kind of far from me. I'm like, where are they? Oh, I know. So I just took a couple minutes drive to a big wetland. And I'm just parked here right now. And the microphone is sitting there. And what you're going to hear next is what I'm hearing. This is what happens when you wake up in the night. It's a real quiet, beautiful, still night. So this is the glory of it all. Check it out. As much as I want to listen to that for hours, my giant task ahead is still beckoning. So I better get at it. Let me know if you like that section in the comments. So when you're out here every day, you've always got an opportunity to do good things. These poor tadpoles are struggling. This puddle they were in is now completely dried up. So I'm gonna put some water in there, help them out. Some water I bought from town, just right here. Because I don't have any water, it's all dry here. No rain, nothing, so here we go. I'll give them some more water. And then I'm gonna move them. I'm gonna try to move them. There's no real easy way to do this. This is my old dishes pot. I'm gonna try and just push them all in there. Yeah, this is not working well. I can tell already. These things are so delicate. If you have better ideas out there, let me know. Because I have to just keep pouring water into this puddle, I guess. I've got a few in here, and they're going to this other pool, which seems to be holding a lot more water. So I'm just gonna get them all out of there. There we go. Making sure none are left in the pot. But these tadpoles are getting actually to a good size in here. You can see them kind of at the edges there. Lots of them. Lots of frogs around, always a good thing. Godspeed, little ones. Well, it finally decided to rain around here. And rain or shine, I needed to get this house laid out. Winter is coming. And look who showed up. That's Jarrett there in the yellow jacket. There aren't too many people living around here, but go figure. Jarrett's a guy who showed up a few years ago on a wild piece of property and decided to build his own house with only a basic amount of experience. Sound familiar? One of these videos, I'm going to show you the little masterpiece he's created for himself. It's pretty inspiring. And hopefully, I'll be able to say the same thing about myself soon. So with 2 brains and now 4 hands, we went straight to town on this layout. I need to just find 4 corners. It's July already. So using the points I'd laid out the day before, we started fine-tuning everything. Now the building was oriented a solid southeasterly direction, which is the best I could get on this piece of rock. And all the numbers were coming into clearer focus finally. We drilled some new rebar holes and pinned in the corners in slightly different spots, so the building was truly square. And yes, we leveled the drill bit as we drilled down, pro tip, just to make sure our rebar was straight up and down into the rock. Finally, we got the numbers squared up at 24 feet wide, 32 feet long, and 40 feet on the diagonal. With that, I marked all the rebar with some paint and called it a day. So I guess third time really is the charm. If you can see it, on this bare rock, my little off-grid house is going to be perched here, facing southeast, among some trees. So for now, I'd say mission accomplished and a step in the right direction. and just some other jobs I've been up to around here. I've been in the log pile quite a bit. Materials for the house are going to be arriving before I know it, and this flatbed is going to need a lot of space to move around, and I'm going to need a space to put the materials. So I got hacking away at this log pile. All these logs came down during the excavation of this build site, and the driveway as well. These huge pine logs you're seeing in here, though, I want milled up. I'm thinking of making cupboards out of them or something. They're way too nice to chop up for firewood. But the rest of the wood here is going to be in the stove. It's going to be fuel for the first cold season of my year in the house. I prefer to be in the log pile in February or March, but in this heat, it's pretty intense. But because of the smoke from the chainsaw, the bugs at least were staying away from me a bit more than usual. That little tool to move the logs is called a cant hook. A guy named Fred gave it to me at my first cabin. He made that tool just for me, and I've kept it over these years. Fred passed away, so every time I look at that cant hook and use it, I think of good old Fred, who died well into his 90s and loved to make tools. This maple log was pretty hard to cut. I don't know why. I sharpened my saw a lot before I got into this, and it was giving me a hard time. So I tried cutting it every which way, and it was still hard on my chain. And even at the time of this recording, it's still not totally sawn up. I just sort of gave up on it. But it's going to make some great firewood, so I think it's worth the effort. And what to do with all this sawdust lying around. A lot of the wood chips and sawdust lying around is from that table job I did earlier, and some is from the firewood I just cut now. But sawdust and wood chips are such a good, useful material out here. I started collecting all the leftovers around for, you guessed it, the Thunderbox. If you toss it down there regularly, you'll be living the dream. I don't think I need to go into details, but every little enhancement you can make to life out here really adds up over time, and this is one of those serious life upgrades. A lot of sawdust right beside the Thunderbox. That's much, much better. So comrades and fellow dreamers, we have laid out the four corners of the building. The vision is becoming clearer one step at a time. Onwards we go. And now, time for some Q&A in the tent.
Top of the evening to you folks. It is time for another Q&A session where I read your comments, questions, respond, and just welcome you into my space here. It is around 10 p.m. in the evening. The frogs are singing outside, and the screen doors are open here. Maybe we'll get a visitor, you never know. And yeah, I'm just a guy out here trying to build a house, basically. I've given my all, as you know my story. I've done the cabin before, and this time I'm making it a bit easier on myself in terms of the construction method, because I got to get in this house and I got to do something I can handle. But it's going to be log and it's going to be great, and we are going full tilt as fast as I can, as fast as the permitting process will allow me to. Anywho, folks, welcome to another meeting of the Midnight Society. I've committed your answers and your questions and your comments to a fine birch scroll I've harvested in my woods here, and I've written everything down in fine pine tar. So here we go, let's begin. B. Wayner 123 says, we come from a farm. We were always told, do not drive the truck unless it's making money. I drive a VW diesel station wagon. We have a trailer for heavier work. A truck's a waste of money in most cases. Yes, B. Wayner. So this has come up a few times. If you've seen a few of my videos by now, you know I drive a good old Toyota Corolla.
And a lot of people say in the comments, where's your truck? Why aren't you going to get a truck? Have you considered a truck? All well-meaning, I'm sure. I've definitely considered a truck out here, but I'm more in the school of thought of minimalism and simplicity, okay? A Corolla was the vehicle I had, and to keep things simple, I'm going to just stick with that. It's not as good to drive out here on the dirt roads and for hauling things, sure. But it's simpler in a way because I already have it. I don't have to go through the paperwork. I don't have to pay any more money. I'm all about just staying above water. In the financial department, I don't want to go splurge on a truck. I'm splurging on a house. My well just cost me a lot of money in the previous video. So, and then the septic in the driveway, like it's piling up. The last thing I want to do now is buy a new vehicle or buy even an old vehicle. I'm just going to stick with what I got because it's simple and it's minimal. It's a tiny little car. It has its benefits and it has its disadvantages, but I like your thought, B. Wayner. Yeah, have a truck if it's making you money. Otherwise, it ain't worth it. I kind of agree with you, to be honest. Okay, Nancy Brown, 2700 says, amphibians worldwide are in steep decline. What a thrill to hear the chorus of frogs and toads and to see the turtles that visit your secluded homestead. Those murmuring sounds of the wild, including birds, are becoming rarer every day. So enjoy the solitude and the vibrant life that still surrounds you even now. As a musician yourself, you must be thrilled by nature's many voices. Absolutely. I am very thrilled by the voices. That's why I'm out here. I like to be surrounded by reality. This is what I call reality, I call it reality. Nature is reality because without any of this, we wouldn't be alive. Like, we depend on these systems to keep our water clean, to keep our air clean, to keep the oxygen going, on and on it goes. I'm not saying it right. To filter the water, we need biodiversity. Everything from the bees to the frogs to the mammals to everything. It's all an intricate web and we need it. And it's nice to be around it. It's therapeutic and it's beautiful and it's reality. Being surrounded by the simple truths, Nancy Brown. And yes, as you know, I get a lot of turtle visitors. I've had about 3 come through here. And I have loads of tadpoles around and frogs everywhere. So I'm a swamp. I'm turning into a swamp creature myself. But they are beautiful to be around. Thanks for your comment, Nancy Brown. Sherry Lee... this one's hard to say. Sherry Leisure, I'm going to say. Such an awesome way to close my Saturday night. Thank you. Interestingly enough, turtles universally symbolize longevity, steadfastness, and protection. Because of their unhurried pace and immense lifespans, they represent patience and ancient wisdom. Additionally, their hard outer shells reflect resilience, self-care, and the ability to find safety within yourself. May the turtles live long and healthy lives. Appreciate your updates. Amen. Yes to the turtles. A lot of turtles around, and it's a good omen. I'll take it as a good omen. It's good to be around them. Thanks for your comment. Very cool. Maddle BP Mac 3405 says, my OCD is bothering me. LOL. When are you going to replace that skinny, saggy tent pole that caused the water collection while you were gone? I understand it's probably not a priority. Absolutely. I sort of wiggled them and I fixed the tarp so the water is no longer collecting. It's just everything is taut and I put extra ropes on the tarp and everything is fixed in that sense. So I haven't had to move the pole. I've just kind of left it. I could use a better pole. Totally. I could use a lot of better things around here, but there's so much other stuff going on. And, just another thing to consider too when you're living this way, surviving is hard. Like, everything you do is a chore and there's so many little things to think about all the time that something that seems big to you on the outside is no big deal to me here because I got other things to worry about. And on top of that, in terms of like time management out here, for example, I always work on music during the day. So that's kind of my priority, believe it or not, as much as the house. And I don't want to throw my life away just to build something, I have to keep it all going. So it's a crazy day every day. Once I upload my video though, and I'm doing the videos as well, but once I upload the video, Saturday is nice and chill. Saturday is a chill day for me. But yeah, in terms of getting around to that temple, it's been on the list for a while. You're totally right. It's saggy and it's gross and it's weird. So I got to do something about that. Tom Tirabasso writes, "It's very cool to see how you are making progress. No rush." Thank you. That is good to hear. Now, I love this comment, folks. Listen up. We were talking about dogs. This makes me want to get a dog, okay? Your take on dogs is interesting. I'm a dog person, but totally see your point about them repelling nature. Thank you. Now, if you found the right, very chill dog like I once had, a female border collie, it could work. I took her on 6 long canoe trips into Coetico Park, and she was fantastic, just observing nature, and even had 2 squirrels run right by her without flinching or making a sound. She was one of a kind, and maybe you will be gifted a companion like her. Love the show. Thank you, Tom Tirabasso. That dog I would have. Okay, I take it all back. If I found a dog like that, I find they're so hard to find. But if I had a dog like that, I could live with a dog like that, one that observes. I find that's the exception and not the rule. I love dogs, I love all animals, but I don't know dogs well enough to know how common that behavior you're describing is. I feel like it's a rare one. But I would have that dog. I would absolutely have that dog. Totally, and I love border collies too. And maybe it's better to get a female versus a male in terms of getting something that's chill. I don't know. Tell me. I'm not totally close to the dog idea. If I find the right dog that is kind to the wildlife, hey, then we're on the same page. But that's a beautiful, beautiful imagery there. Thanks so much for sharing that. And I think this is our last one here. Big A8388 says, "Not sure what the backlash will be with the well, but with folks getting upset about the driveway, I can't imagine how they will feel about the well. I enjoy that you're committing yourself to your long-term vision of living comfortably and adding those creature comforts of a driveway and an actual well instead of relying on other bush life options. Absolutely. In my opinion, it shows how committed you are to making this homestead last. Keep up the content. Can't wait to see the building start commencing." I can't wait to see the building commence myself. Yes, so before the build happens, those of you who are experienced with this sort of thing know there's a lot of different things to take care of before, shovels go in the ground, so to speak. So I'm doing all that right now, like as fast as I can. And yeah, I've messed around with those bush life options. It sounds like you probably have, just based on the way you're talking about them. You're familiar with them anyways. I lived on rainwater for a while and a dug well, that combo. It sort of worked, but there was always like that worry of running out of water. There was always that extra thing of, oh, is it clean enough to drink, or should I just buy the water to drink at a big Berkey, whatever. It's just not straightforward. And the funny thing is that the longer you live like this, off the grid, the more you want to make it so you're not doing chores all the time, which puts you in a very first world sort of position. And I've sort of gone through all that. As you can see, my build is not like I'm taking water drops from a tree and sipping on it and stuff. Like I'm doing like the real, the full out experience, because I've lived with so little luxuries before. I've lived without plumbing, I've lived without electricity, I've relied on generators. Stuff has gone wrong in the winter, and I've been out of water and power for huge stretches of time. And this is all my old cabin. And then I lived in a tent for so long before this one. This is like a cabin compared to the tents I've lived in, okay, doing this sort of stuff. I've done it all, so to speak, and when I say I want a drilled well, it's coming from a deep well of experience of chores and tasking and stuff going wrong, and just to the point where it's like, I'm going to just pay the money to get this done and have good water. That sounds great, So it's like full circle. Originally, when I started this years ago, I really wanted to be rustic and bush life options. And now I'm like, well, I want to be way in the bush, but I do want like good quality stuff if I can get it. So thanks so much for your comment. Thanks for your comments, everybody. There was no bad comment this week to put on the Thunderbox, sadly. I'm sure there'll be another one, and I can't wait to stick it on that Thunderbox. But there is a favorite comment, really cool one, that I will post right now at the end of this video. And as always, thanks for keeping me company out here, folks. Thanks for keeping me company, and I will see you at the next video. Cheers.